Join us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Esther Vese. Well, as part of efforts to help Nigeria combat the menace of Boko Haram, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has approved the deployment of 2,000 mobile police officers to the northeast. The officers who will support the military's anti-insurgency operation in the region have been deployed alongside officers of the counter-terrorism units and the sniffer dog sections. The police spokesman, Jima Moshood, says the deployment is part of general duties of the Nigeria Police Force, which allows the force to deploy officers for military duties within or outside Nigeria. He assures that the police force is fully committed to the fight against insurgency and will do all it takes in collaboration with the military to bring a quick end to Boko Haram insurgency and crisis in the northeast. Meanwhile, speaking of bringing an end to insurgency in the country, a security analyst has been explaining what he feels as some of the challenges facing Nigeria's anti-insurgency war. Sheyi Adetayo says the other member countries of the multinational joint task force against the sect cannot afford the security might Nigeria currently has. He says the Nigerian government must step up its fight and not rely on other countries in the Lake Chad Basin.
I never expected that this is going to work at the onset of the joint from the onset, because you are talking about Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. These are countries that are also, they have their own burden. This is we're talking about countries that have been saddled with a major crisis, political and economic crisis. Look at Chad, for example. The problem in the Central African Republic had been a major problem or challenge to the Chad Republic. Aside the fact that the Chad itself had, grappled with long years of internal crisis in the country, where you see a serious proliferation of small arms in Chad. Now, the Chadian government have not been able to spread governance to its borders. Governance is only really feasible in N'Djamena and neighboring cities, but not as you spread out, attenuating towards the areas of the borders across Nigeria, Libya, and then to Cameroon. Now, look at Cameroon, for example. Cameroon is currently, saddled with internal political crisis. There is war going on in Cameroon between the English-speaking Cameroon region and the French-speaking Cameroon region. Now, you cannot expect Cameroon to be focused on Boko Haram problem when the militias are trying to take over power from it.
And away from security matters, the Federal Capital Territory High Court, uphold, has granted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission leave to arraign former Petroleum Minister Desieni Alison Madueke and a former chairman of Atlantic Energy Drilling Company, Olajide Omokari, on the 25th of February 2019. Alison Madueke and Omokari are to be arraigned on 5 counts bordering on conspiracy and illegal act of accepting and giving gratifications. The ruling follows an appeal by prosecution lawyer Farouk Abdullahi, who told the court that while investigations were ongoing, the former minister left the country and is currently in the United Kingdom. He alleged that Alison Madueke refused to honor an invitation by the EFCC to appear at the commission. The commission is now concluding plans to extradite the former minister. Shifting our focus from the 2019 general elections, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Lagos State, Jimmy Agbaje, has officially kicked off his campaign trial. Agbaje, who lost to incumbent Akinwumi Ambode in the 2015 elections, has sworn to improve the state if elected as governor. The PDP candidate says his government will focus on education, economy and transportation if he gets a chance to rule the state.
Those things I want to make you go abroad. I mentioned transportation. Lagos is one of the 2 mega cities in the world that does not have the light rail system. One of only 2 of all mega cities in this world. Lagos is one of them. If you look at our education today, why in Lagos, the private schools, 70% of them pass WAEC. In the public schools, over 50% of them fail WAEC. So you are not surprised that even the children of the poor, they struggle to put their children to primary school, private primary school, because they have no faith in the public primary school we have. We have a problem of power. Times have changed. There are laws for power. But you know what? We have an answer. We believe that there is an arrangement that will be put in place in 4 years. We're not talking 20 years, we're talking 4 years. And those who know me know that I don't talk just anyhow. Before I say it, because I have done my homework. I am giving you a guarantee that as governor of Lagos State, we shall have a minimum of 1,000 megawatts of power. I want to assure you, for those who do not know or who fear, the election of 2015, those who voted for us remain intact. I mean that base has not changed. 2019, we're going to expand that base. We're not just going to beat them, we're going to beat them flat.
And now the senator representing Lagos West, Adiola Solomon Olamilekan, has promises to promote people-oriented policy if elected again. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Local Content says he will ensure his constituents are not shortchanged in the next administration. He was speaking at a press conference in Lagos to promote his re-election bid.
Carrying out an oversight function over the executive, and basically this is for us to serve as a watchdog over the executive by ensuring the proper implementation of the budget, by ensuring proper implementation of the policies of the government that will be people-oriented and people-friendly, and ensure that the Nigerian citizenry are not shortchanged in the process, so that at the end of the day, the dividend of democracy can come to every citizen of this great nation. We can work closely together, and Nigeria will support us in this. And you are giving me a motion, and that is one motion that I'm going to work with, and I'm going to do it in the interest of Nigeria, so that Nigeria stop paying all these frivolous estimated bills that cannot be defended. What portion of Badagry Express Road has been awarded? You will quite agree with me that long before now, that road is a federal road. Even from Maitulo to Festaco to Koko to Badagry, they are all federal roads. It was when the state government feel that road was neglected by the federal government that we decided to go and do the reconstruct that road and make it a 10-lane road, and along the line we put toll gates so that over the years they can pay back that money back into the government coffers.
Members of the Ondo State House of Assembly have again accused the chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers in the state, Jacob Adebo, of leading an attack on its members. Adebo, popularly known as Ida Joe, is accused of leading 200 thugs to attack 16 members of the House. He has now been arrested by the police and lawmakers who addressed a press conference in Lagos. They also commended the force for their swift reactions.
We hereby remind the world that Idajo led more than 200 thugs, brandishing very dangerous weapons to inflict bodily injury on honorable members, staff, journalists, and visitors to the assembly complex on the said date. As a matter of fact, a DSS operative whose bravery led to the rescue of some of our members was manhandled in the melee, while vehicles and other properties worth several millions of naira were destroyed. It has been a mystery why just one individual will have the power to hold an entire state to ransom with his nefarious activities, such that he decides who or who does not live in Ondo State. His dimension of thuggery in the last 2 years is a huge concern to citizens and residents of entire state in general, and those of Akure in particular. But we are confident that with his arrest, security and peace will return to Ondo State.
A movie festival to educate against irregular migration is underway in several countries across the world. The Global Migration Film Festival is a 3-week program launched in 2016 by the International Organization for Migration to showcase the challenges and promises of migration through films. The 2018 edition of the GMFF holds at the Goethe Institute in Lagos Island. Anessa Felix was at the festival for TV360 Nigeria.
Because our fingerprints, we have no future in Europe.
The Global Migration Film Festival showcases 2 films in the theme of migration to a diverse audience of migrant returnees, stakeholders, and the general public. The first is a short film titled Grammar. The plot is woven around the passing of a young boy who opted to travel to Europe by road at the expense of having an education in Nigeria. The second film, Bushfallers, follows the story of a Cameroonian who migrated to Germany in search of greener pastures. A member of the screening and a former migrant is however not thrilled with some aspects of the second movie.
From my experience since I came back to Nigeria and trying to sensitize people to talk to them about irregular migration, I discovered some of the horrible pictures is what actually scares them. Yes, when you show them the truth, they are scared to go there. Because there was one we did one time and we brought out a picture of people sinking in a boat, and the woman was like, is this what happens to them? Hey. I was like, yes, this is what actually happens to them. So if you don't give them the truth, they won't believe you. When you keep giving them half of what happens, this is more like, to me, half of what actually happens, because passing through the desert, passing through the Mediterranean Sea is horrible. It is horrible, and people need to see it. My advice is, while they are doing these videos, try and attach some of these real truths to it.
Despite the campaign against irregular migration, some members of the panel believe the Nigerian film industry still has a lot to accomplish in this regard. Nigerian movie producer Zulumoke Oyibo highlights what she feels is responsible.
There is definitely a lot that the film industry can do to show the world, especially what you just said, to show those pictures, to show those stories, to tell those stories as they are, for people to see and know that, doing this thing, it's not worth it. Visually, people are incited to make decisions. So through film, we can show people visual depictions of these things, and it would go a long way. It would be amplified. People would know that, there's no point going there, like you have just said. So it's, for producers now, how do you get us? Bottom line. The bottom line is funds. It is funds. To tell a story of this magnitude, you need to speak with the government. You will need to speak with security to work with you to shoot that scene. Funds. Nobody wants to do anything for free. So, I mean, there is a dearth of stories, and, I'm eager to tell them. I'm sure a lot of, filmmakers have so many stories, migration, whatever it is, that they want to tell, but just because of funds. That's really the bottom line.
Just like film, social media has been proven to be a powerful tool in influencing the narrative about irregular migration. Founder Angel for Life Foundation explains that migration agencies need to pay as much attention to social media in their campaigns.
The power of social media is just too powerful, let me say it that way, because so many things have actually happened in that process. That time that, we kept creating more awareness, trying to let people know, stop making this journey, it's not safe and all of that. But one particular moment I can never forget was what social media also has done to reunite. I remember one particular day I went to the airport as usual. I was even running late that day. I was feeling so bad. The plane had already landed. I was calling. They were like, the plane had landed. And I was like, let me even capture it, even if it's the last people coming out from the plane. And I got there that day. I recorded it. And all of a sudden, a lady just sent me a message on Instagram. She was like, Nikki, that's my brother. That's my brother that just walked past you. We thought he was dead. And I was like, what? She was like, that's her brother. They've been looking for him for years. And she actually saw him walking beside me, in that video. So, in quotes, I wasn't too late. God made me get there on time to capture that brother for that sister because they thought he was dead.
An official of the International Organization for Migration is also part of the screening panel. Alex Cole sheds more light on the IOM's role in curbing irregular migration in Nigeria.
IOM, as I said, in partnership with the government of Nigeria, we've been implementing a lot of these awareness-raising interventions. Things such as sensitization in schools, targeting students. I think I mentioned earlier we've also initiated a radio program called Abroad Matter, which is a 13-episode drama radio series, which basically is using storytelling to create awareness on the risks. Things like mobile feeders, creating platforms for discussion using the community dialogue approach, basically allowing migrants, returnees, and their community members, creating a platform for them to discuss the most pressing migration issues that may be affecting their community.
Motivated by poverty, millions of Africans risk the loss of their personal liberty and death for the quest of a better life through irregular migration. Away from government policies, the movie industries in developing countries have a responsibility to sensitize citizens on the challenges and risks of migrating the irregular way. And that's the purpose of the Global Migration Film Festival. Annetta Felix, TV360, Lagos.
Well, up next is News in Business with Fidelia Aguncha right after this break, so don't go away.
The Wale Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism invites you to the 13th award presentation event of the Wale Soyinka Award for Investigative Reporting. Join us to honor the 2018 WSCIJ Nigerian Investigative Report of the Year, along with the category winners from print, radio, television, photo, online, and editorial cartoon. John Momo, Chairman, Channels Media Group, and Waziri Adio, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, will also be honored with a Lifetime Award for Journalistic Excellence and Anti-Corruption Defender of the Year Award, respectively. Date, Sunday 9th December 2018, time 5 p.m. Venue, Necker House, Main Hall, Plot A2, Hakim Balogun Street, off Latif Jakonde Road, Alausa Ikeja, Lagos. For inquiries, email wscrj@wscrj.org or call 0908-251-5179. Investigative reporting is a vital force for the restoration of human dignity. Wale Soyinka.
You're welcome back. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Esther.
So tell us, what's the latest in business?
Well, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, is warning that the bank may increase the number of items not eligible for Forex from 4 to 1 to include many other products being produced in Nigeria. Emefiele says the bank has received a recommendation to do so following a drop in the country's monthly import bill from $665.4 million in January 2015 to $160.4 million as at October 2018. Emefiele says Nigeria must not lose the progress already made in driving local production across the nation, and noted that the CBN is working with the EFCC to track anyone who is selling foreign exchange for items listed as not eligible for forex. Oil marketers have given the federal government a 7-day ultimatum to settle outstanding debt totaling 800 billion naira or face a strike action. The marketers are Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, Depot and Petroleum Product Marketers Association, DAPMA, and Independent Petroleum Product Importers, IPIS. They say banks have taken over their investments and assets, leaving them with no choice but a strike threat. Meanwhile, global oil prices soared by around 5% on Monday ahead of a meeting this week by producer club OPEC that is expected to result in a supply cut. U.S. crude oil futures are at $53.41 per barrel, while Brent crude oil futures are at $62.35 a barrel. Oil traders will eye a meeting by OPEC on December 6, and at that meeting, the producer group, along with non-OPEC member Russia, is expected to announce cuts aimed at reining in a production overhang that has pulled down crude prices by around a third since October. Analysts expect a reduction of 1 million to 1.4 million barrels per day versus October levels, which were the highest by OPEC as a group since December 2016. Well, let's now look at activities on the stock market after this. Trading for the month of December at the NSE began poorly, with massive sell-offs that pushed key market indicators down by 0.24%. A 4.56% drop in financial index is majorly responsible for this slide, which saw the all-share index drop to 30,798 basis points. Well, but despite this huge decline in the financial index, MRS from the oil and gas sector is today's biggest loser, with its share price declining by 2.85 naira. While the planned change in the composition of its board of directors seemed to have influenced investor sentiment, as Nigeria Brewers is second on our chart with a 2.2 naira drop in its share price. Well, just as there are losers, there are also gainers on the market today, and that's talking about the gainers chart right here. Seplat saw a rise of 24.4 naira, the biggest in the market today, and this follows its emergence as a 2018 overall winner of the Pearl Awards Capital Market Prize in Lagos, beating Total and 11 PLC. Also doing exploit in its field is Guarantee Trust Bank, which was over the weekend awarded the Bank of the Year in Nigeria for the second year in a row at the Bankers Bank of the Year Awards. Well, this feat pushed its share price up by 0.78%. And in summary right here, over 249 million shares were traded in 3,122 deals. Let's go global now, and we can see that they are all in the greens. That is the FTSE, Dow and Nikkei, all in the greens, and this comes in the aftermath of the G20 summit, where China and US reached a deal to relax tariffs over each other's goods for the next 90 days, while both presidents engage in talks to resolve the issue. Well, that's been a look at activities on the stock market, and it's back to Esther Vasey.
Well, thank you much, Fidelia, for that update. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. And right now we're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll bring you more news on the international scene and in sports. So don't go away.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so... Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Oh. Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey.
Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
You're welcome back. 16 people have been killed in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in clashes between troops and rebels. While most killed were rebels, some were government forces. The fighting is in Fizi, a region of South Kivu, and the rebels are loyal to a former army general, William Yakutumba, who is opposed to President Joseph Kabila. The unrest is another front in the push by rebels to oust Kabila as the country limps towards a much-delayed presidential election slated for December 23rd. And the Fizi region was the cradle of the rebellion by Laurent Desire Kabila, father of the current president, who ousted Mobutu Sese Seko in May 1997. The former Belgian colony has not seen a peaceful transition of power since 1960. And in sports, 9-time African champion Super Falcons are now back in Nigeria. The Super Falcons returned to the country through the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. They returned after a victorious appearance at the 2018 African Women Cup of Nations, and focus now turns to the 2019 Women's World Cup.
The Falcons were received by the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, who led the federal government delegation. Captain Rita Chikwelu presented the trophy to the government official on behalf of her teammates, who posed for a group photograph. The Falcons might have emerged victorious, but it was definitely not an easy run. They lost their first game against South Africa before recovering with convincing victories against Zambia and Equatorial Guinea, but struggled to penalty wins in the semi-final and final against Cameroon and South Africa. Some of the Falcon players admit that their dominance in Africa is gradually losing grip.
As we all know, the tournament was a very tough one. It wasn't easy as it used to be like 6 years ago. Now you have to really fight to win the match. And we went there determined, we trained, and you can see the result. We came home successfully. So I think all games were tough. People would think the semi-finals and the finals are the toughest, but I will tell you all the games are tough. No game is easy.
Everything is really getting better now. We see a lot of good players, good teams, great fights among the teams. Everyone wants to go to the World Cup. So I think it's really getting better in Africa now. You see a lot of Africa countries are already catching up. You don't see teams losing like 6-7-0 any longer.
With the Falcons now crowned African champions, the next focus turns to preparations for the World Cup. The team has largely disappointed on the world stage, only going past the group stage once in 1999, where they crashed out in the quarter-final to Brazil. Coach Thomas Dennerby believes the team needs to focus on attacking preparations to shine at the tournament scheduled for France.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy, of course, and I think we have good performances. If you come to defense, we play perfect, but we need to also improve the attacking play a little. So that's what we need to work on before the World Cup. Yeah.
A sports analyst, Kunle Sholaja, also believes the team needs more preparations for the World. He is advocating that the NFF ensures the Falcons begin camping very early to compete with the world's best.
If they can have a camping, a periodic camping for them somewhere in Europe, maybe France, which is central to most part of Europe, then on the weekends that their women clubs over there are not having matches, you can have a close camping for them and let them play friendly matches, even if it is against club sides in Europe. That will be a better preparation method for them. But most importantly, those friendly matches must be quality friendly matches. Try and play against Canada, try and play against the United States, try and play against the Koreans or the Chinese, their teams, because these are countries where women football have really risen to an appreciable level. Because this time around, you are not going to play against Equatorial Guinea that you pummel 6-0. You are not going to play against Zambia that you pummel 4-0. This time around, you are playing against countries that look even stronger than you.
Nigeria will not be the only country representing Africa at the World Cup. Cameroon and South Africa will also be flying Africa's flag. Sholaja is, however, not expecting much from the three teams.
The reality is that the African teams at the World Cup, I don't expect, if one or two of them manage to cross the group stage, it's a big achievement. Because, for instance, South Africa are going for the World Cup for the very first time ever. So that stage fright will be there. The fact that they are going to meet the best of the best is also a factor that will also affect them. The same thing with, even though Nigeria has been in all the past editions, the fact that we have not moved, the only time we got as far back as the quarterfinal was 19 years ago, is also something that will actually cage them down and probably make them not to dream too high.
The 2019 Women's World Cup begins in France from July 7 to July 9. All 24 teams have already been confirmed for the tournament. They will know their group opponents on December 8. Uni Adekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
Well, as always, we're always rooting for our girls, and we're very much proud of them. We've come to an end of the bulletin tonight, and thank you very much for joining us. As always, you can get news updates and watch more of our programs on our website and our social media handles that are being displayed on your screen right now. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Esther Vasey.